Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
And today you're going to tell us a few things about a spiritual education in Ireland.
Yes. What is the purpose of the education of children when they start going to school and being taught, as we were all taught as we went to school, from the comfort of the family home, and then mixing with other children and coming across children from different types of homes, and some of them probably not from very good homes, and coming across bullies and learning to stand on your own feet. But aside from that, what you're taught is the basics of to be able to understand arithmetic, to be able to learn something about writing in a clear fashion in English, and subject of that kind, and of course to develop. There was a place for to develop your spiritual development in case that it wasn't done in the home. Catholic schools particularly, and probably other schools for other religions, as was here the Protestant, and they might have been taught something. I believe there was a period set aside for to give them the benefits of their particular faith. So this was an important element to make responsible citizens, to develop that aspect of their nature that we spoke about. My visit to the Orthodox church today, and the marvellous example that I saw of the practice of their faith, and we could learn a lot from them, and I intend to visit more. But so therefore their faith is being nurtured, and I presume in their education, whatever. Well, of course some of them now will be going to our schools here, but they're getting the nourishment in the Orthodox faith. Some may be contaminated by the education here, or they mightn't have to take part, they might object to be part of the education now that they're trying to inflict on children, which is the secular LBGT agenda. A small number dictating the development of young people's minds. That's not going to do them much good, to make out that it's normal for two men or two women and so on and so forth to be married. To make well, anyways, suffice to say that you develop your spiritual children's lives should be developed without any interference from the state. It should be according to their religion, Catholic or whatever it is, so that it can be developed in that area, so that they can become responsible citizens, because people that have faith and practice a religion are often very responsible citizens, and their own goodness comes out. But if they're not taught that aspect in schools, and taught some other aspect that contradicts what is fundamental in that area, well, then they're going to be confused. Now, oftentimes we go through life, we can go through periods of confusion, because on the one hand we're being indoctrinated by the company we might work with and bosses, and they're sort of having an agenda, and you have to sort of survive and do your and pay for your home and all the rest of it. So sometimes you have to adapt, and your faith can be interfered with in order for it to sort of survive. But it means at the same time you have time off that you can develop. It can be developed. But if you didn't get the foundation going to school, and you didn't get it in the home, what sort of a life are you going to have to develop that aspect? How are you going to come across it? Which is why perhaps so few people now are practicing the faith that they were brought up in. This is a very sad affair for them, because hence they don't know what's right and what's wrong.
I remember as a child I used to attend the Legion of Mary. So
that was a great, by the way, that did great work throughout the world.
Yes, so we'll talk about that in a second. So on the Tuesday evening and the Thursday evening, we used to go for 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock. We'd Bible study and prayers. And then on the Saturday morning, we used to go to the Morning Star Hostel for the homeless
Good.
So we got our theory on the Tuesday and on the Thursday, and then we'd spend 4 hours in the Morning Star making sandwiches for the homeless, washing the pots, and going out and cleaning the yard. And
What a great foundation.
It was really, really
It
good.
certainly is, doesn't it? You know, it doesn't matter what happens later on. That is in the DNA. And funny enough, there's been articles about the beatification of Frank Duff, the founder, who kind of was a lay person and did meet difficulties from those that was in charge, but he persevered, and now it's worldwide, and he got a great welcome there at Vatican II when he attended. They all stood up and cheered, all the bishops of the world, because he had envoys, and there's one now, Venerable Edel Quinn. She died young in some part of the world that she was in, whether it's Africa or South America, Edel Quinn. And she's now the Venerable, and she's gone on for Sainthood. She was a Legion of Mary envoy, because they must have paid for them to spread the word. And it's in every country in the world.
So the Legion of Mary, when was it founded? Do you know anything about it?
It was founded Frank Duff was in the civil service when the British were there. He was there, and then he was still there when the Irish state took over, and he had a high job in it. But he left because to concentrate on the Legion of Mary. They had already kind of moved, and then they eventually had the foundation for the Legion, for what it stood for, and the presidium and the system. He evolved all that. It didn't start off just like that. It just evolved that way, much the same as we've evolved from what we were at, the Christian and Jobs Action Party, now to the Christian TV Ireland project. You see, and Frank Duff did something similar. It evolved, and then he become convinced of the need for people to help all the poor people, because Dublin was awash with tenements and poverty. Even in my time I saw it, and I know where Frank Duff lived, because he lived in Holt, near Holt, in the wind-up, and though he from some other part, but he was a lay person that was practically a saint.
Wow.
Because of what he has founded. And it's a great encouragement for anyone, a lay person, to try and embark on something similar.
So the Legion of Mary was obviously Catholic, but I can't remember. I know
it is, but it's still Catholic, but they do help for other. They just don't concentrate on Catholics, but they do help for all sorts of people. That nobody's helping. They call to the down and outs. They're nearly. Now, they're not doing what St. Vincent de Paul does, but St. Vincent de Paul has changed their name. Now their shops is called Vincent's. So they've lost the spiritual dimension of what they were saying.
I never knew that now.
Yeah, well, you see, you can't do things like that. St. Vincent de Paul should be on everything that they do, but it's not.
Probably because of too much money, John. I mean, I was told that Vincent de Paul had 50 million in the bank at all times.
Well, you see, but that doesn't sound good, because like they did help, and they're still helping the destitute. But then we have such a social welfare in this country that it's hard to make out that there's destitute.
Yeah.
You know, so anyways, but the Legion of Mary didn't want to sort of do what, because Frank Duff was in the St. Vincent de Paul first, before he evolved to the Legion of Mary, because you could see that there was a need for something other than what St. Vincent, and he didn't want to duplicate what they were doing. He concentrated on other things, and what he's done was great, because they're a great force for good throughout the world.
Yeah.
It's good as much as Vincent de Paul. And Vincent de Paul was founded by Saint Vincent de Paul in whatever year it was, in the 15 or 1600s or something. And they've done great work. And don't forget that Frank Duff, a layman, did such marvellous work. that's spread throughout the world.
Yeah, we must do maybe a video about him in the future and see.
We will, because there's big articles about him now lately, and on the Catholic papers, the Irish Catholic particularly, 2 or 3 pages about him. Matter of fact, in one that I think I have, and I'm going to keep it because I knew where Frank Duff lived. Funny enough, when I lived in Howth, even when I was a teenager, he lived in a semi-detached house. A nice house on the way into Howth, just in a place called, what was it, Claremont.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Hotel Claremont there too, now it's an apartment block. Ireland and Dublin is a wash with apartment blocks. I don't know how they're going to able to go anywhere, you know, with the traffic. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the education. When we talked about the education,
spiritual education.
Yes, well, you see, there you are, and the more that's nourished, the better. And this is what we'll be concentrating on in the Christian TV Ireland project. Come back to that again because, you know, the word has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're not enough of them is not reading anything like by way of the Catholic papers. They're reading and listening to everything else, and of course they have the internet now and even on their phones, so they're not getting nourished.
Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver.